Hey guys, BrandonioProductions here, and welcome to the 27th, I believe it is, Java tutorial. In the last tutorial, I actually discussed how to make or move an image within an applet, and this was using a specific class that we created called the RectangleImage. As demonstrated in the applet, it actually created a rectangle around our image, and we used that rectangle to actually draw the image and to actually move the image itself. So in this tutorial, I'm going to be talking about how to actually make the image detect collisions. Now, collisions can be detected with points, locations, if you will, different shapes, or different images using our RectangleImage class. So in order to actually test this out, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add another image to the project, and every time an image collides, I'm going to have it pop up with a message inside of the console. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to go up to what our parent class was and remove the spiral.move command. So this means that our spiral will now be located in the bottom or the top left of our project. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to create another image. We'll actually use the spiral image from tutorial number 25, I think it was, and we're actually going to try to make that image collide with this image here. So let's go ahead and explore what collisions actually look like first. So inside of our RectangleImage class, we can actually see, let's just type it in the move class, we can see that this.rect.collides or .intersects is a method where you can actually plug in another rectangle and it will return true if the specified rectangle and this rectangle intersect. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to create our own method for our rectangle image that will just simply move the intersects level to intersects method to a parent level. So we're just going to say public boolean intersects, and they're going to send in a rectangle r. So we're just going to return this.rect.intersects, and then we're going to send in the parameter r. So now that we've got an intersects method for our rectangle image, we can actually go ahead and start creating a new image. So we're just going to create also a private rectangle image spiral 2, and we're going to set that equal to no. And then here we're also just going to say we're going to move this this statement into the if statement. We're just expanding upon it, and then we're going to say spiral 2 equals new rectangle image. And we're going to get the image of spiral.png, and we're going to send this, and we're going to give it a location of 400. And then we're actually just going to draw spiral2.draw g2 this. So as you can see with the current layout of our methods and rectangle image class, it's super easy to simply add an image to the applet and have it draw itself. And as you can see, we've got our bounding rectangle around this image because we're having the rectangle draw itself. So now what we want to do is we actually want to check to see if they collide. So right after they're drawn, we're going to say if spiral.intersects spiral2.getRect. So if the two things intersect, I'm just going to say system.out.println intersect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move spiral2 over right so it's next to, or maybe on top of, spiral. So we're just going to move it over to 50, and then let's just say 75. And as you can see, this is only 25 pixels away from the x-coordinate of our 100 by 100 image, and 25 pixels away from the y-coordinate of our 100 by 100 image. So if we actually go ahead and debug the program, you can see that this image is obviously colliding with the bigger one, and inside of our console we have intersect actually spit out. And that is because these two images are intersecting. So this is useful for if you have a video game and you actually, or if you're making a video game and you actually have an entire level, like for example the ground is built out of a rectangle image. You can go ahead and say if the player intersects the ground, then gravity stops. Same thing for some sort of enemy. You can say if the bullet intersects an enemy, then the enemy dies. So we can go ahead and expand upon this by looking at the the other actual implementation of the intersects method. So we can go ahead and jump back to our intersects method, and we can go ahead and analyze what else we have to deal with or play with. So we've got this.rect.intersects, and we can actually get here. Wait. We can actually get the intersection rectangle. So if we say this.rect.intersection, you can see that this is the largest rectangle contained in both the specified rectangle and in this rectangle. So we can actually get the intersection point, if you will. So this is useful if you're trying to analyze if something hit the object from the bottom or from the top. So we're just going to move this to a parent level once again, and we're going to say public rectangle intersection, and we're going to send in a rectangle. So here all I'm doing is taking this method, this.rect.intersects, or intersection rather, and all I'm doing is moving it to a region that is accessible by the RectangleImage class. So now what we can go ahead and say is if spiral.intersect spiral2.getRect, we can print out details about the intersection of rectangles. So we can print out spiral.intersection of spiral2.getRect. So now if we go ahead and actually, oh wait, we're missing a parenthesis. Now if we go ahead and actually run this application and look into the console, we can see that the largest intersection point occurs at 50, 75 of width 25 and height 25. And that is because since this small image is actually inside the big image, the intersection point occurs directly at the small image. So the whole intersection is the small image. However, if we were to move the spiral 2 to actually only be on top of the image by a little bit, then we can go ahead and run the application. And as you can see, it's barely touching the image. So what we get is an intersection rectangle located at 124 x pixels, which is right about here, 75 y pixels, which is right about here, and a height of 25 and a width of 1. So the intersection rectangle is quite literally this very small overlapping area between the two images. Now what we can actually do is we can actually see the intersection area. Now this is actually kind of cool. So we can actually say g2.draw and then send in spiral.intersection of spiral2.getRect. And before we actually draw it, what we're going to do is we're going to set g2.setColor color.red, and after we draw it, we're just going to say g2.setColor color.black. So what we're going to be doing here is we're simply going to be drawing the intersection rectangle that we just messed with. So now if we run the application, you can see that it intersects right on this red rectangle. Now to make this even more effective, what we're going to do is in our RectangleImage draw method, we're going to go ahead and stop drawing the bounding rectangle. And then we're just going to go ahead and move this image over to, we're going to leave the x value and change the y value to about 125. So now we can go ahead and actually run the application, and as you can see, in a game, for example, this is exactly where the object would hit. So let's just say you're playing a game where you have to bounce objects off an object, and you threw this spiral at the zigzag. Well, with our current image setup, this spiral will actually hit the zigzag at this exact location and bounce off, because this is exactly where they are colliding. So as you can see, there's many applications to actually making collisions with our RectangleImage class. So the first thing you do is you can check for intersection using the .intersects method, and then you can actually get the intersection rectangle using the .intersection method. And then you can go ahead and manipulate this rectangle. So there are several other things we can do, like we can create a whole new object out of the intersection rectangle and just do things with it. But as you can see here, our intersection rectangle actually is outside of what our spiral object looks like. And that is simply because when I drew the spiral object in this Microsoft Paint window, as you can see, the zigzag object actually has a lot of white space. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to fill in that white space a little bit. And now if we go ahead and resave the image and then restart the application, you can see that the intersection rectangle is much more accurate because I've actually filled in the white space that was over there. And now we actually have an accurate image. So, for example, if you wanted to make it look like something was bouncing off a wall, you can simply create a quick wall in Microsoft Paint. I'm just going to use the zigzag image again and create a nice little wall using gray and the rectangle tool. I can go ahead and drag a rectangle around here. Then we can fill that in with a lighter shade of gray. Actually, that's the same shade. A darker shade of gray. And then we can create a black outline around it. Like that. And then we can add some sort of just effects to it with our pencil tool. So we can go ahead and add some cracks or whatnot to this wall. And then we can add a little grassiness with this. So add some grassiness in there. Change the size a little bit, make the grass a little bigger. Now this is pixel art. Okay, anyway, I got a little carried away with that. So now if you have a basic wall object and you run the application, you can see that this would actually collide with the wall at this exact point. So now that you know about how to actually detect collisions within an application, the possibilities are endless. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually simply going to that's okay. That's actually for another tutorial. I was going to create this little thing where you could click to change the spiral's location, and then the red line would still appear if it collided. But yes, as I said, that is a project for another tutorial. But anyway, hopefully this helps. You now know how to load images into an application, move them, and detect collisions. In my next tutorial, I will be teaching you how to actually rotate images using a completely different method not found within our RectangleImage class. So thanks for watching this tutorial. Please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. As always, the source code is in the description, along with a discussion link on BP forums. So go ahead and join the discussion and actually talk about any problems you may have there. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Peace.